around, don't disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling, welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, and this art he is king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, also known as Kyle. We got some TNA to recap today. Total nonstop action. Destination X 2006. Ooh, baby, we got a good show for you today. Destination X, always a I think as years would go on, would become not a B pay-per-view, but it definitely highlights the X division. And in later years, the X division would become a little less significant than it is here in 2006. But here in 2006, the X division is about as hot as it would ever be. We still got AJ, Daniels, Joe fighting for the title. Some may say that they've kind of monopolized the division a little bit, but I think this puts a cap on it. And no better way to do that with the X Division title than with an Ultimate X match. And the match concept in kayfabe kind of designed to neutralize Samoa Joe and how dominant he's been. Of course, he's the champion at this point. So really, really intriguing stuff there. Really awesome match as well. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. But this show here, Destination X, it's kind of a 3-match show, honestly, because you have the Ultimate X match. You also have an 8-man tag, which has, Planet Jarrett versus a bunch of other guys, basically all the other baby faces that didn't have a spot on this show. The Dudleys, R-Truth, and Rhino, which kind of, for me saying it like that, it kind of makes it seem like it's a throwaway match. But the overall tagline of this entire pay-per-view is a legend retires and a man returns. Sounds pretty stupid, right? Well, it is, but the source of it kind of makes sense because if you remember, I think I talked about this in my last TNA episode, but after Sting returned to wrestling and he teamed with Christian to defeat Monty Brown and Jeff Jarrett at Final Resolution, he came out on Impact the week after and basically retired. He was like, hey, I'm going out on my own terms. He lays his bat, he lays his jacket, takes his pants off, and rides off into the sunset. We haven't seen Sting since. But amongst, Jarrett and all of his cronies, Eric Young, who is a part of this whole faction, he's a little paranoid. He's a paranoid boy, this EY. And he, for some reason, suspects that Sting is still around. And this, of course, translates into Jarrett becoming paranoid. So he, gets Alex Shelley, who has a camera, who we've already, mentioned that Alex Shelley is the only one that has a camera in the world. So he gets Alex Shelley to get his camera and to go stalk Sting, DDP style. You remember when DDP went into Undertaker's wife's panty drawer and, sniffed him or whatever that storyline was. Alex Shelley, he basically follows Sting throughout his life. We see this on Impact. He follows Sting to the gym. He's in his car, creepily, filming him walking into the gym. He films Sting walking his kids to school. He films Sting coaching his kids' football team. he's following him all around to see if he's really out of wrestling, I guess is the story here. Because Jarrett wants confirmation that Sting has quit and he's done for. But eventually, Alex Shelley, he gets a little too overzealous, and Sting actually sees him filming him. I think it's like after he drops his kid off at school or something, and he like charges at him. He like gets into his car. He's like, "Hey, you cocksucker! Why are you filming me?" Well, you know what? You gotta film me. You can film this, and he shows him his cock. That's not what happened. But basically, it's actually Steve Borden at the time, because he doesn't walk around in life with his face paint on. He says, "Hey, I'm gonna be at Destination X. You tell Jeff Jarrett that I'm gonna be at Destination X. It's not gonna be Sting. It's gonna be Steve Borden." So Steve Borden is returning to TNA Wrestling, not Sting. So that's kind of the whole premise of this show. And we get into it in the podcast as far as how that all unfolds. But I wanted to kind of cover that element of the story because I think we didn't really get into that much detail about what happened, but it was just so ridiculous. You have Alex Shelley just following him around like a fucking creeper. But we got those two matches plus the main event. The champion, the new NWA World's Champion, Christian Cage, taking on the alpha male, Monty Brown, all the way from the Serengeti, traveled all the way from there to Orlando to challenge for the NWA title. And look, man, I'm the resident Monty Brown mark. Me and my guest both are. But kind of left a little bit to be desired. And we'll get into that. And really the aftermath of the main event is probably what is most noteworthy. But we'll get to it when we get to it. But I some may say that I was pretty big papa pumped up to see what happened there at the end of the show. It's Scott Steiner. But yeah, some other good wrestling, a lot of good X Division wrestling on this show. And a lot of good shenanigans. Fucking Matt Bentley, Lance Hoyt, AJ Styles taking a dump in a stall. Lots of stuff going on here. And who better to get into it with than my boy Frank from the Last Minute Wrestling podcast, returning to the show. My favorite TNA mark. Had to bring him back on. We actually covered TNA Destination X 2005. A little over a year ago, so go check that out in the archives. One of the better shows of the Apron Bump, and yeah, so go check that out. Check this out too. You're already here, but yeah, check Frank out is what I'm trying to say. Last Minute Wrestling podcast. He does a lot of great interviews with people in the wrestling industry. Brings his Italian je ne sais quoi, is that French? To his podcast. A very entertaining dude, as you'll see in the episode. Great to follow on social media as well. All of his info in the description below, but go check out his podcast at lmwpodcast.com. Follow him on Twitter at lmwpodcast. I think all of his socials are that, right? But all of it's in the description below if you feel the need. Go check him out. Frank's a good boy. And hey, if you like this kind of episode, if you like TNA, you're like, hey, gee whiz, hardest part of the ring, I sure would like to take a journey with you backpacking through the entire history of TNA post Impact Zone pay-per-view era, right? You're probably saying that. Word for word is probably what you said. Oh, suck my nipples and call me Sally. Go to apronbump.com. You can go to the episodes tab at the top. You can select whatever era of wrestling, whatever style, whatever promotion you would like to take a frolic through with the old HPOTR of the ring. Do that. I'm really bad at plugging my show, but you're already here, so it doesn't really matter. Go to all the TNA stuff in the archives is what I'm trying to say. Go check that out. And I feel like I haven't breathed in like 2 minutes. Go check that out. And I'm fresh off my bachelor party. I'm a little gay in the anal. I don't know if you can see, but I have a little bit of an Asian flush going. When I vomit, I burst all the blood vessels in my face every time it happens. It's kind of starting to recover now, but I'm a little more freckly than normal. But speaking of vomiting, time to word vomit about this show with Frank. TNA Destination X 2006 with myself and Franklin from the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast.
You see, I wore that shirt that I told you I will be wearing.
Oh, damn. I should have worn my, I think it's still soaking in beer and vomit as I speak, but the outfit that I was wearing from the Dave Matthews concert, but
yeah, love it.
That
looks like a fun concert. Yeah.
Man, anybody I made eye contact with at that concert commented. Everyone was thinking I was wearing a romper. It was not a romper. It just happened to be matching shirt and shorts, so people need to get it straight.
But I like.
What would you classify that as? Would you classify that shirt? Is that a shirt?
This one, the guy that gave it to me told me it was a shirt, like a festival shirt. So
it looks comfy. It looks very breezy.
Yes, it is, and it has also a place. I don't know if you can see it. You see, when you can.
For anybody listening, he's showing me his cock.
Sorry. I am. Actually, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. We're very friendly. It's the only way to start a TNA recap, in my opinion.
The most appropriate one.
Of course. But you got a chance to watch the show. I know. First of all, I appreciate you pushing this back a week. I know making life difficult over here, but you got a chance to watch the show.
Dude, yeah, of course I did. And as you know, probably I did it through a porn site, which
right.
I must say it's a very convenient way to like combine my two biggest passions, which is TNA and Monty Brown, I would say, because it's the same as sane porn,
Right? Yeah, they're one and the same. I have a question. So, did you stumble upon this video? Were you looking for TNA and you found this site, or were you on the site and found TNA?
Man, if I have to turn on myself, I just need to watch some TNA. That's what I was looking for.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No shame in here. Yeah. When you go into the categories little section,
yeah, of course,
it's like BBC, Cream Pie, Total Nonstop Action.
Yes, that's
right, exactly. As we all know.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yes. But so I think the first time we got together, we actually recapped Destination X 2005. So now we are a year later, and I don't know how much you remember about that show. I don't remember too much.
I remember
about it,
the Nazi bikers.
Right, of course.
The Nazi bikers
DOA?
and Mr. S as the Outlaw.
Oh, okay. One of his many name changes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And probably was the same show where they debuted the Shocker that they wanted to like pretended that it was such a big deal, a massive deal, and nobody really cared.
I think that might have been. And guess where Shocker is now? Not on the show. Fuck him. That was very short-lived. Because he debuted on that show and then had one title match and then was gone pretty much. So.
Peak TNA is such a beautiful wrestling company. I love it.
Man, they swing for the fences every time, and sometimes they hit home runs, and sometimes the bat slips out of their hands. And
and we are like a couple of weeks removed from their 20th anniversary. And I was part of their media scrum, and Scott D'Amore said something really interesting, because he said, okay, we had every crazy idea we had back in the day. We said, fuck it, let's try it and see if it sticks, and that's, and they said something like that the Ultimate X match was something that they thought was really, really, really dumb and will never last. And here we are 20 years later still talking about it.
A broken clock is right twice a day, as they say. So for every Ultimate X, there's what was the cage? The asylum, escape the asylum or something. We had to climb up the top, get through the middle. They had some winners and losers, I guess. But in that scrum, did you happen to get a chance to ask about Triton and when he'd be returning to Impact?
Nope. Unfortunately, no, I didn't. We're still. I think this is going to be, honestly, the biggest comeback ever in wrestling. When Triton will come back to kick everybody's face with his big boots, big muscle, big body, and tiny head. That would be fantastic. If I were Triton or how the hell it was called, I would use like the flying headbutt as my finisher, because it would be hilarious with such a tiny head.
Right. I mean, it's sharp. I mean, it's a very pointed head. And
It could catch you like a knife.
Yes, man. We're just spitballing these ideas. I hope somebody's listening, because there's money left on the table if they'll take advantage of this.
Yeah, Scott D'Amore, book it.
Let's do it. I have faith. But no Triton on this show, unfortunately. Nope. But there's a lot of other good stuff. General thoughts on the show?
Solid show, pretty solid. I think I saw this show back in the day, and I had next to no recollection of the beginning portion of the show, like the early matches. But I remembered quite well the two main events. So yeah, it was a solid show. Yeah,
the first half was definitely, it felt like filler, a lot of it, and we'll get into it. Not that they were bad matches per se.
No.
Just not a lot of substance to the storylines or any of that stuff. But we might as well get right into it. And we actually, the show actually does start off on a very high note, opening up the show. We got some X Division action with two of the youngest members on the roster at this point.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say nowadays. So we got Jay Lethal, 20-year-old Jay Lethal versus 22-year-old Alex Shelley.
Man.
This was good stuff, I thought, this match.
Yeah, that was a good match. And I don't recall precisely like the sequences of the match, but I think for the duration of the whole match, I thought, whoa, they were like in their early 20s. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, and so you got these two guys who are pretty new to the scene, relatively, at least in TNA. Jay Lethal has got a lot of momentum at this point, because they first brought him on as an enhancement guy, but he was like organically over with the crowd. Like he'd been in ROH too, so I'm sure a lot of the audience knew him from that as well. But Jay Lethal just had this organic momentum behind him, and Alex Shelley had been heavily involved in the main event storyline with Jeff Jarrett and Sting, which we'll touch on later. So both these guys are red hot at this point, and the match itself was great. Like, I mean, the chain wrestling was really fun to watch. There was one point where they had like each other's legs hooked, and they like spun around like on their heads and were like doing a slap battle upside down. Really just fluid. You know, there's one point in the match that's kind of indicative of the whole match. So Shelley counters a superplex with a top rope atomic drop, which there was a lot of brutal atomic drops on this show. I don't know if you noticed. The gooches were not safe. But then Shelley follows up with a clothesline that misses. Jay Lethal goes for a dragon suplex, but Shelley breaks it. But then Jay hits like a really snappy, quick German suplex. Like all these like sequences and counters were just smooth throughout. But ultimately, Alex Shelley wins with the sliced bread, and fun way to open the show, I thought.
Which I did not remember him using the sliced bread. Maybe it's my fault.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
I was like, oh, did he use the sliced bread? Well, I thought it was exclusive to Brian Kendrick and Eva Marie. That's what
Yeah, I thought maybe it was made sliced bread number 3 or something, but no, it was the number 2. Mike Tenay told me.
Yeah,
so
the same one, the same number.
I never thought I'd hear Eva Marie and Alex Shelley get compared, but here we are.
Yeah.
Both have
very
nice
talented.
tits.
Very
talented.
I think they both came out of the dungeon, of Stu Hart's dungeon, something like that.
Some dungeon, that's for sure. But man, this next match. So we got Lance Hoytomania, running wild.
My boy.
Well,
My boy.
Kind of skipping wild at this point. Versus not Michael Shane, not Matt Bentley, Maverick Matt.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels' cousin. Shawn Michaels' cousin.
No, it's Maverick Matt.
It's always been shitty, and I didn't even.
How dare you?
I didn't even notice the similarities between him and Shawn Michaels. And when the announcer started pointing out, I said, "Oh, fuck it."
I'll go with it, I guess.
One Shawn Michael is enough, and this is not a compliment, by the way. Fuck you, Shawn, if you're listening. And basically, I was like, why should we have like Shawn Michaels from Wish or something like that? Why should we endure that? And I remember, crazy, call me crazy, but I'm such a Hoyta maniac that I remember this match.
Right.
From back in the day. It was one of the few things that I remember from the early part of the pay-per-view, which is saying something about my mental health.
Yeah, Hoyt's another guy. It's like, why are people so behind him? But they were. Although I wouldn't say this is like peak Hoytomania. He's kind of like on the downslope a little bit. Like he hasn't been featured really that heavily on the show. I mean, he's on the pay-per-view here, which is,
I think it would be out of the company entirely in less than a year, probably, to this point. Because I think in 2007 he was already in WWECW.
Yeah, I know he has the whole Rock and Rave thing with Jimmy Rave. I don't know when that is. I think it's in 2007. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, no more than 2 years for sure. He'll be Vance Archer soon enough.
Yes, exactly. Well, by the way, you should totally cover the WWE version of ECW as well on this show. That would be amazing.
Look, man, once I get to it, because I'm in like the Ruthless Aggression era right now, but you bet your sweet ass once I get to 2006, we're gonna talk about some zombie, talk about some Zack Ryder, all of it.
I'm sorry to delay the conversation now, but I loved the first episode of WWECW when it came out in 2006, and I loved the zombie. I loved everything. I love the fake stripper Kelly, which wasn't able to untie Aaron bra. So
she was an exhibitionist. Fantastic. First of all, she was not a stripper.
Yeah.
So I will not have the name of Kelly besmirched on my podcast.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, no, ECW had its moments.
Yeah, that's wrestling. If you don't have a zombie in your roster, that guy passed out a few months ago, I think. I was deeply saddened by this loss.
He passed away, really?
Yes, I think so.
Well, I thought he was already dead. But anyways.
Hall of Fame 2023. You heard it here first.
Yep. He'll be inducted by The Undertaker. Zombies stick together.
Yeah. Exactly.
What a missed opportunity that was. Zombie versus Undertaker. That would have drew money.
They left money on the table.
Well, it's never too late. Well, I guess now it is, but fuck him. But Maverick Matt here, coming out in the HBK chaps, which is because before this it had kind of been like, I mean, he had the same hair as Shawn Michaels, similar tights, I guess, but man, he's really leaning into it now.
Yeah, it was like the old match. He was like, hey, I'm blinking at you. Hey, like something like that. Like, do you remember me? I'm HBK's cousin. Like,
God, it's only. I'm trying to think of like other names he could have called himself, like Matt Hickenbottom or Matt Michaels Matts. I don't know.
I guess Michael Shane was bad enough.
The Gemini guys did it better, in my opinion. But
yes, yeah.
So I know you're wondering.
Yep.
By golly, how did this feud start between Lance Hoyt and Maverick Matt? Well, let me tell you. It all started on Explosion, which I don't know. Were you an Explosion watcher?
Of course. I am an Explosion original fan. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You love to explode.
TNA. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had the chance to interview Sarri Nauro last year, and he told me he's probably the guy who has most matches on Explosion's history. And
man,
That's very weird.
It's like Velocity. Like I'm trying to think of who would have the most matches on Velocity. Like Danny Basham, probably something stupid like that.
Rob Conway.
He's Heat. Sunday Night Heat. Get it right.
Oh yeah. You're right.
But not a lot to this match. It's the way I saw this match. It was two guys that like TNA seemed like they wanted to be big deals, but weren't exactly hitting like they wanted them to. So it's almost felt like this match was a test to see like how they would do if they faced each other. And it's a fine match. There's really nothing to write home about. You have Lance, throwing Matt around, a huge flapjack with one arm. Lance Hoyt goes for a moonsault but misses, and then Maverick Matt hits his patented super kick that nobody else does. But then, as this action is getting all hot and heavy, it cuts up to Jeremy Borash in the middle of the match to the rafters above the ring, where Jeremy and Eric Young are standing up there. And there's a whole thing, by the way, the whole kind of underlying story of this show is that Jarrett and all of his crew are looking for Sting. They're looking for Steve Borden, really.
Steve Borden,
and Eric Young and Alex Shelley, who we'll see later, have been tasked with looking for Steve. And Eric Young, his way of approaching this is to develop flyers to pass out. And how does he distribute these flyers? Well, he stands from the rafters and tosses a big stack of them into the ring. I mean, maybe some people in the crowd caught him, who knows? But flyers just all over the place. It says, have you seen this man on the flyer? And has Steve's face. And Maverick Matt catches one. And I don't know if he can't read or not, but he's very confused at this flyer. He's like, what in tarnation is this? And then he turns around, big boot by Hoyt, and Lance gets the win. And so was this match just a foundation for that little deal to happen, I guess?
Yeah, I loved it. 5 stars.
Well, 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I would say so.
Absolutely.
Oh man, Matt, whatever you want to call him, Maverick Matt. He isn't in the company too much longer. I think he even goes to WWE for a bit, maybe.
Really?
I could be wrong. Maybe it was just like an extra or something.
Did he have any connection there?
I don't know. If only he had some sort of cousin or.
Yeah. Sometimes all you need is a cousin in the business.
That's how you know how shitty Maverick Matt is. His fucking cousin is Shawn Michaels, and he couldn't even get his foot in the door.
Not even as an extra. Not even as a zombie on the first episode of WWE.
I think he was like an enhancement talent for like Big Show one time, but that was pretty much it. I'm very versed in the Wikipedia of Matt Bentley. It's very short. But that cuts to a promo backstage. Jeremy Borash is standing with a 4-man team who's going to be in a later match. The baby faces. We got Rhino, Ron Killings, and the Team 3D. Not the Dudley Boys. Yes. Team 3D. Rhino grunts for a little bit. Our Truth raps. Devon says, "Oh my brother, testify," and Bubba, I don't know, he says something. He says, "Forget about Destination X. It's Destination War." It's a good line, right?
One of his best promos. Besides Taz, my balls.
Well, that's number one, as we all know.
Yeah, of course it is. He gave his best in TNA on the mic.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, probably.
Probably not saying a lot. I mean, what are you comparing it to him stuttering in ECW? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But oof. So this next match, we got the Naturals versus Team Canada, represented by Bobby Roode and Eric Young. And your boys.
Yeah, always loved Team Canada. I've always loved them. My boys.
What'd you think of this match? I wasn't really sure how to think about it.
I'm always astounded of the little time that A1 gets in any capacity.
They don't make him wrestle anymore. You're done getting in the ring.
Yeah.
Hold this flag, asshole.
Yeah. Oh, well, Again, I'm sorry, I don't have like a precise recollection of the sequences because I just enjoyed it.
There weren't any sequences to remember about this match. Let me tell you.
I'm so every time I see Eric Young, it's very weird because he has done everything that there is to do in the wrestling business.
Yeah,
like from comedy act, from like it was the weakest part of Team Canada back in the day. And then he became world champion, and then he was a women tag champion with ODB. Then, I mean, so much crazy shit in his career that you cannot believe. Even 2014, when the TNA mimicked very badly the Daniel Bryan storyline from WrestleMania 30, and they wanted to make him like their version of Daniel Bryan, so he had this huge beard.
That's all you need. You have a beard, get out there with the world title.
Yeah, exactly. People will yes and chant your name. It's amazing. Bobby Roode was so fucking good even back then. How old was he? Like, was he like in his late 20s? I'd say like
I would guess so. 28?
Yeah, probably
somewhere
like
in there.
It was fantastic. Every movement he does. Every. I don't know if you remember. During that time, he had like the Northern Lariat as his finisher.
Yes,
which was basically.
I thought it was pretty sweet.
Which was basically a clothesline, but you have to hit
from
the back of the head. It was fantastic move. I loved it. I loved everything it did, really. And they won.
Commentary was even putting him over really hard. Bobby Roode, TNA and West were like, "This guy's a future world champion."
Yeah,
all that stuff, and he was.
Yeah, I was very bummed out when he left Team Canada to pursue like this big money gimmick that he had for a while. Like was very Ric Flair light or something like that. Yeah, that wasn't a great. It's very similar. Now that I think about it, it's very similar to the Glorious gimmick that he has now, but
yeah,
probably was too early in his career. I don't know.
Yeah, that was my introduction to, I guess, Robert Roode at the time.
Yeah.
He had the payoff was his finisher, the fisherman suplex. I guess he got rid of the Northern Lariat at that point, but he had like Tracy Brooks with him, something like that.
Yeah.
He figured it out though. He figured it out.
Yeah. I think he did pretty good for himself, one way or another.
Yeah. But so the Naturals, Team Canada, I don't know, man. I feel like I've just seen this match a million times. It's like, it's fine, but there's no titles on the line. There's no like the Naturals are kind of losing steam at this point. They're about to get Shane Douglas, I believe, as their manager, which I think
terrible.
Does a little, I don't know. I don't remember how good it was or not, but it's at least something to differentiate them, I guess.
At the time, I had no bloody idea who Shane Douglas was. And,
the Dean.
And yeah, I had no idea because I didn't see him in ECW or WWE prior to that. I was like, who's this fat middle-aged guy? I was like, why people are revering him for some way, for some reason? I don't know. The Natural were like, in my opinion, they were like the Young Bucks, but better and earlier than them. I don't know. I don't think they were like super talented or something, but more or less everything they did made sense. So, and this is a serious question. I wonder whatever the fuck happened to them.
I think I actually asked my last guest when I did a TNA. I think Chase Stevens still wrestles, like around the Indies, I guess. Andy Douglas, I don't think wrestles anymore. But they're still getting at it. They're still getting at it. They were a really good tag team. Like they weren't like you said, everything they did made sense. Like they knew how to do a tag team match, and that's always a really valuable thing. Especially like early TNA, tag team wrestling was such a focal point. I mean, they were perfect for that environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was Team Canada. But yeah, this match, it was fine. Nothing to write home about, honestly. But the finish comes when Eric Young comes off the top rope with the hockey stick wrapped in a Canadian flag.
Yeah.
Cracks it over the head off of one of the Naturals, and Bobby Roode makes the pin. Team Canada wins in a very Canadian way.
Like, holy fuck, don't try this at home. That looked stiff as fuck, man.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of this now. Do you think they like gimmick the hockey stick? Is that why they wrap it in a Canadian flag? Maybe it's already a little bit broken.
Yeah, I hope so. Because he took everything, all the shots, 100% force on his forehead.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Even if it is, that's gotta, it's off the top rope, everybody. So it's gotta be devastating. Maybe the Canadian flag just adds power. Maybe it gives it a buff of some sort. Yeah.
Of course, it's a superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of superheroes, God, we got Bullet Bob Armstrong in the Impact Zone. What are your thoughts on Bob Armstrong's fit here?
This young upstart. On the commentary, someone said, "Oh, those Bulls are twice as old as the youngest member of our roster," or something.
Yeah, his boots were 30 years old, I think they said.
Yeah,
so it's true.
And I mean, okay, the match wasn't that bad actually. It was like watchable one way or another, but very unnecessary. I don't know what was like the story behind it, but I was like, okay, you want to have like a little bit of nostalgia with Bullet Bob. I understand that, but was it really necessary?
Well, let me refresh you on the backstory. I think it might have, honestly, this whole thing might have kicked off last year at Destination X, if I remember. It might not have, but it was when the 3 Live Crew was a thing. Billy Gunn came into the picture. Conan began to distrust BG James because, you're going to go with your old New Age outlaw buddy. And that was the whole thing. It was a really drawn out thing. Eventually, Conan turns on his boys and starts his own faction, the LAX, Latin American Exchange. And Hernandez is not there yet. The original incarnation of LAX, I don't know if you remember this, was Homicide, Conan, and Apollo. Not even Machete, it was Apollo.
I was like, yeah, the forgotten member of the
very
like the drummer that the Beatles had before Ringo Starr, which I don't even remember the name at the moment.
Man,
that guy must be very pissed, and Apollo should be pissed as well.
Apollo and Machete. I mean, Machete's here, but he's not there for too much longer, I don't think, because Hernandez eventually comes in and takes his spot. But yeah, I mean, this match is a 6-man tag. It's Bob Armstrong, his son BG James, and his other son, I guess, Kip James.
They kept the kayfabe like during the old commentary. It's okay, Bob Armstrong and his 2 sons.
But nobody's questioning why he has a different last name than the other 2. It's the whole thing. Versus the LAX. And so Conan started this whole faction. Him and his boys, I think this is when Apollo was still there, they beat up Bob Armstrong backstage, put him in the hospital.
Yes. And
Bob returned. I don't know if it was the last pay-per-view or on Impact, but he returned and he ran off all 3 of them because 67-year-old or however old he is, Bob Armstrong's really going to do a number on these guys here, I guess. That's pretty much it. But yeah, this is a really long, drawn-out storyline, kind of just the end of the 3 Live Crew. But Conan, his boys come out, him and his boys come out. He gets on the mic and he's like, "Tonight we end this." I'm like, hopefully, Jesus Christ. Then Bullet Bob and the James gang come out. Bullet Bob has a singlet on, a very snug singlet, 1 knee pad, and 30-year-old boots.
Yes,
he's ready to wrestle. This Bob Armstrong is. So the match happens. It's honestly it's kind of short match, but eventually Bullet Bob gets in there, makes the hot tag, just wrecks shop. Beats the shit out of Conan, knocks him to the outside. He even like puts Conan on the commentary table and is like punching him. And at every punch, Don West is like, "Yeah, yeah." It's so good.
Every time I see Don West, I think about you saying, "Don West will be excited watching me folding my laundry."
He would make it exciting. I bet you.
Absolutely.
Are those briefs gonna fit in the drawer? Oh, Don West is the treasure. He's a treasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But eventually, so Conan's taken out. Homicide gets taken out with a chair because Homicide goes to hit BG James with the chair, but Bullet stops him, and then BG kicks the chair up into Homicide's face. So he's out of the picture. So now it's just Machete surrounded by the James family. And he gets pinballed by all three of them. Kip James hits the one and only, a huge one, just not into the rafters. This is like a Cobra clutch slam of sorts. Yeah. And gets the win. So the James gang gets the win. I would have thought pinning Conan would have been the more definitive ending to this storyline, but I don't know how long Machete's there. So maybe it's like, whatever. We're not going to keep Machete. Fuck him. Have him get beat by an old grandpa. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on this?
No. I said it was an unnecessary match, probably, but still somewhat enjoyable, I would say. So, yeah.
You're never going to say no to old men in singlets.
No. Why should I?
That starts you at 3 stars.
And yeah, of course. And I have a penchant for visual design and stuff like that. And the Bullet Bob logo, chef's kiss.
Ooh, yeah.
Those to be reversed. How inventive. Yeah.
Man, the 40s, they knew how to make logos. Let me tell you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, now to serious business. So now we're backstage with Eric Young and Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley has his Shelley cam, which is, a video camera. And because like we mentioned earlier, they're looking for Sting. We got to find Steve Borden. And they think they found him in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Why do you ask? Well, there's a bat and a jacket on the floor of the bathroom. So obviously
it must be Sting.
Yeah, because old Stinger can't shit with a jacket on.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I thought if you're like wearing a jacket and you have to take a dump, do you take the jacket off?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I feel like it's like people say it's a weird thing, but it's like you're gonna.
Yes, I do.
You feel like a silly goose.
Yeah, I have to be quite free and like down under.
Down under, you say? Does that mean naked?
Yes. means genitals.
Right. Yes. OnlyFans / Last Minute Podcast.
Yes.
But so they go in the bathroom. They see a jacket and a bat on the floor. Somebody's in the stall, so they're ready to attack somebody who had just busted a grumpy inside the stall. But it's not Sting. It's AJ Styles comes out. And AJ thinks Eric Young and Alex Shelley are gay because they're in a bathroom together. Makes fun of them for that a little bit. And that's never really explained. Yeah, in hindsight. It's never really explained why there's a bat and a jacket on the floor. But
yeah, I mean, can't AJ Styles wear a jacket to a bathroom and the bath?
Right.
Yeah, that's typical AJ Styles. When you think about AJ, you think about the Styles Clash, 450 splash, and the super elbow or whatever that's called, and a bat and a jacket in the bathroom.
Right. It's typical. All of those things are a typical Monday night for AJ Styles.
Yeah.
But man, this next match. So we got an international X Division 4-way match. We got Petey Williams versus Chris Sabin versus Sanjay Dutt versus a debuting Puma from New Japan Pro Wrestling. What's your favorite Puma match, Franklin?
I remember when Puma main evented the Korakuen Hall in 1982 against Tiger Mask 7.
Man,
and, yeah, he did like the 1058 65 3 2.1 splash from the 11th rope, because back in the day they had much many ropes, and
a lot of ropes.
Yeah, it was like a wall of ropes. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
inside.
At what point is it just a wall?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very useful. People paid good money to not see the match, but they've been told. But they've been
Right.
told it was so fucking good that Puma deserved his title shot at the X Division title many years later in Impact.
So you're saying this match is 20 years in the making?
Yes, absolutely.
From that cat fight
24.
from 1982.
24
Yes.
to be precise.
Thank you. You got to correct me. You got to make sure I'm right.
Yeah, I gotta keep you on track.
So we got international. So we got Canada, USA, India, and Japan represented here.
Oh yeah.
No
Needless
Italy
to-
though.
No Italy. No Italy. Why
fucked
do you
up.
ask? Because wrestling wasn't invented in Italy back then. Like
Oh, they had got worse.
2006. We still it was too early for us. We didn't have it.
Look, you guys are just too busy making pizzas and
Yeah. All day.
I guess that's about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, all day pizza, good-looking women. Like
Ferraris.
natural Ferraris, natural, beautiful environment, like sea, mountain, everything. We were
Man.
too busy. But
I was trying to make fun of you, but that actually sounds like a great life. So eggs on my face.
Yeah, all those good-looking women. That's disturbing. A disturbing life to live.
Somebody's got to do it though.
Yeah,
I appreciate you for biting the bullet for all of us.
yeah. So you have more time to watch Puma matches.
Yes, because
In your
as you
day.
know, my hobby is just sitting and watching Puma matches for hours. Not
Well-
Prince Puma, by the way, not Ricochet, just Puma,
No.
regular old Puma.
Wait, what? Prince Puma? Was he Ricochet? I didn't know.
No, actually, I'm sorry. They had resemblances. They had similar tattoos. I don't think they were the same. guy.
Yeah, not.
And they had
quite
different
the
names.
same.
So
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that's. And by the way, it goes without saying, but my boy in this match was Pete Williams.
he held it down. This whole match. I mean, this might have been. I'm trying to think. Might have been match of the night for me. This match. The Ultimate X was really good,
Probably, yeah, probably.
but
Ultimate
I
X
might
is
say this
really
match.
good, but not as good as the famous three-way match that they had a year prior
Right.
to that, and Unbreakable.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't want to jump ahead.
No, go for it, man. But I mean, yeah, there's a really fast-paced match. It's kind of hard to take notes on it because there's just so much shit happening here. But Puma's in there because I was unfamiliar with Puma. But he has like this kind of kickboxing style to him, along with the normal X Division, pretty fast-paced style. So I thought Puma looked really good in this match. He had a lot of crazy like pin combinations and submissions. Like, it was really fun to watch. And I think he gelled with these guys really well.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this match was when Petey goes for the O Canada, which is when he has his opponent in a trio woe and he sticks his foot in their balls and does the O Canada and he sings it. He goes for it on, I think it was Sanjay, but Chris Sabin prevents it. He stops him from doing that. But then like 5 minutes later, Karma comes back around and Sabin gets the old Canada right in the old Sabin. So that was good storytelling there, I thought. But yeah, lots of dives, lots of kicks. And any particular thing stick out to you in this match?
Oh, the finish was fantastic. I loved the what's it called? The cradle bomb, the finisher of Chris.
Cradle
Sabin.
shock.
Cradle shock. Yeah, sorry. I've always liked that move. That looks fantastic. And I remember again back in the day, I never really noticed like that it was a cruiserweight basically. So I thought that he could technically perform that same move on the Big Show or some people like that, or Lance Hoyt. Just to tell you how down I was.
Right. Yeah. No, you never know. But yeah, the ending stretch, like you said, of this match was on fire. Petey Williams goes for the destroyer onto Sanjay, but Sanjay blocks it into a dude buster, so like a reverse pile driver of sorts. Crowd pops for it hard, and Sanjay goes to hit Sabin with a Rana, but Sabin holds on and hits a double power bomb onto Sanjay. The second one was like a spinning sit-out power bomb. It looks sick. But ultimately, PD hits the Canadian Destroyer onto Sanjay. And as PD is kind of like still on the ground after this Canadian Destroyer, Sabin picks him right up from the ground, hits the cradle or tries to go for the cradle shock. PD fights out. Puma back in the game with a springboard blockbuster onto PD. And then Sabin hits the cradle shock onto Puma and gets the win. And yeah, really, I mean, if you are going to watch one match from this show, it would be this one, in my opinion. I thought it was great stuff all around.
Yeah. Yeah, probably it was.
Yeah. And because I think they have like their international, wasn't that like a thing? They had like an international tournament of sorts.
Yeah, they did that. They
X Cup or something.
Yeah, they actually did that. And but I can't recall at the time. Like I know that in the earlier like more recent years they did something like that, like in 2010 or something. But at the time I don't remember like who participated in that kind of tournament.
Yeah, well, we'll keep watching and we'll see.
Yes, we'll discover that.
So we got a war on our hands there, Frank. We got the team. It's an 8-man tag. The team of Rhino, Ron Killings, and Team 3D versus the team of Abyss, AMW, and Jeff Jarrett, accompanied by Gail Kim, Jackie Gata, and James Mitchell. What a crew. What a crew.
This is like peak TNA in a nutshell, if you ask me.
Jackie Gata?
Jackie Gata, especially.
Yeah.
Especially. I mean, you have everything, the good, the bad, the terrible, and everything in between. And even Jeff Jarrett was bearable here in this match, more or less. And
yeah,
I'm a freaking AMW mark. Best team in TNA history. No doubt about it, in my opinion.
I'm with you.
And and Ron Killings had his WWE team. I mean,
that caught me off guard too.
The team that he uses now in WWE, I did not recall that he used that. The same team back in TNA. I think that should be a first. That should be a first time. I don't think any other wrestler used the same team in TNA after they made the jump in WWE. I know Braden Walker didn't.
Yeah, that would have saved Braden Walker if he had the AMW theme. That's all he needed. That's all he needed. Yeah, I don't think, because I mean, Christian uses it in AEW.
Yes.
But otherwise, and Jarrett uses it in other places. But yeah, in WWE, I'm sure somebody will let us know we're wrong. But I can't think of anybody offhand other than
let us know
R-Truth
down in the comment below.
How about you guys clam up and just don't correct us, okay?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just leave a comment about Jackie Gata. Better off.
Chill out a bit. Gata or about Gail Kim.
Yes. The two women on the roster.
Yes.
So I don't know if you got this from watching, but the story with Jackie Gata is that she's being blackmailed, essentially. So Jackie, I don't even know what they were trying to do here. She comes into the company. She's acting like she has something on Jeff Jarrett. She's like, I have something on you that's gonna tear this whole company down. And they're like, whoa. So they get Alex Shelley to go to her house and film her fucking. I think it's the story. It's kind of implied. So I guess they have like a sex tape or something on Jackie Gata. So they're like, hey, you be in our faction or we're going to release your chaunch to the public. And so she's like, okay. So that's where we're at. That's why she's like huffing and puffing with them. Doesn't really want to be there. But yeah, so good stuff going on there.
So is it implied that Jeff Jarrett was masturbating to Jackie Gata?
I think so. He was stroking his guitar, as some say, playing the keys.
He would have play her clitor for sure.
Yeah, I think so. But the match starts off. Everybody kind of pairs off. They're fighting all over the Impact Zone, in the crowd, on the stage, ringside.
Yeah, it's a fucking mess. I
thought this is what the whole match was gonna be, but they eventually they make their way back to the ring. I mean, before the match starts, there's like chairs involved, and Rhino and Abyss are fighting up in the bleachers. At the last pay-per-view, Rhino speared Abyss through the barricade up there and drove him through a bunch of tables. So they kind of replayed that. Yeah. But this time Abyss was wise to it and he reversed it. But
damn it.
So yeah, do you think this match would have been better off if it was more like a street fight kind of deal?
Yeah, probably, because that's what they did anyway. At least in the beginning portion. So yeah. Let me correct you. You said Rhino speared Abyss. No.
Oh shit.
He fucking gored.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I feel terrible for even
thinking something like that.
Yeah, they're not even kind of close.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the difference.
Yeah, of course.
I think we already had a similar discussion. Like, it was about the difference between an Extreme Rules match, hardcore match, no holds barred, and like what? Okay. Well.
It was always my favorite, like on like Taboo Tuesday when they would have fans vote. It'd be like, well, you want to see a no DQ street fight or no holds barred?
Yeah. Falls count anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But and somehow like an arm wrestling match would win or something. It's something stupid like that. But I don't know what this match is classified. It's just an 8-man tag team match.
Yes.
It was really kind of built up as like a war, but kind of just ended up being a match. It got kind of fun at the end though. I mean, the beginning, they're kind of just beating up on Rhino. The crowd's chanting "Brokeback Mountain" at AMW, which I guess just came out at this point, which is fun because they're cowboys.
It was that year. Now that I think about
it. It's good stuff. Very topical for the time. I thought it was a good movie personally. I don't like them, think of this some sort of insult,
Actually, I don't think I ever saw the movie, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you should give it a watch. It's probably on the same site that you watch this pay-per-view on. Yeah. Some scenes are at least. They might not be actually from the movie, but they might be parodies. But you get the gist. You get the gist.
So you're telling me that when I watched She-Hulk with China wasn't the new Marvel?
Technically, I think that's series? The original. So I think people are kind of playing off of China.
Yeah.
Probably. So that wasn't the one with Vince McMahon, right? There were different videos.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
There was also the XXX Avengers where she starred as well as She-Hulk.
Right. You seem to know a lot about this film.
I'm an MCU fan.
Right.
Isn't that the same movies that everybody's talking about?
Yeah. When you have to watch them in order, you have to watch that to get context of the storyline.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. If you miss that one, you just miss so much of the plot. So
yeah, you will never know. You will never understand what happens. Like in like Ant-Man and the Wasp, if you miss out on She-Hulk.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So everybody make note. Go back and watch She-Hulk if you haven't already before
starring
whatever
China.
They're at the next Marvels, starring China, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And Johnny Sins. But we have a wrestling match here. Towards the end.
Sorry, I'd rather talk about She-Hulk. Conversation.
I would rather talk about She-Hulk than this match, honestly. But it gets you get some TNA-ness at the end here. So R-Truth gets the hot tag, and the crowd's really behind Truth here. I mean, he's bouncing off everywhere. He's kind of fresh off a 3 Live crew. He's finally on his own, even though he's in a tag team here. But he's like his own man, basically. Crowd's into it. James Mitchell hands Jarrett a guitar. Jarrett swings it at Truth, but Truth does the splits to avoid it. Rhino hits Jarrett with the gore, and the guitar just goes flying as he gets it gored out of his hands.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Abyss hits the black hole slam on Rhino. Gail Kim in trying to interfere.
Bubba Ray.
What does he do?
Was he like trying to powerbomb her or something like that?
So Bubba Ray, I think he like body slams Gail Kim. Wait, what happens here? So whatever happens, there's a double waza headbutt. Bubba has one of the guys, I forget which one, but Bubba tells Jackie Gata to get in the ring to hold up Gail's legs for R-Truth to come off the top rope with a leg to the vag. So that happens. I like that Truth went legs first. He's a gentleman.
Yeah.
As we all know, you don't just headbutt a girl on the first date. You go legs first into the vag.
Of course, it was about to get a big push, as we all know. So he didn't want to not be a gentleman.
Yeah, that's very smart on his part. Abyss in trying to choke slam Jackie Gata. Mm-hmm. Devon makes the save, and the Dudleys hit a huge 3D on Abyss. But Devon gets the death sentence from AMW, and then the AMW guys, they take Truth into the corner to try to handcuff him into the corner. So James Storm, Chris Harris, they're all in the corner. They got Truth in the corner. They got the handcuffs. You kind of the camera shots kind of from behind. Then I think it's James Storm walks away, and then Truth walks away, and then Harris is handcuffed to the turnbuckle. So he did some he did some magic shit there. And then Truth hits the axe kick on Storm, makes the cover 1, 2, and then the ref feels a really great camera shot. You just see the ref get pulled out of frame by Jeff Jarrett, gets pulled out of the ring. Truth goes to hit the axe kick on Jeff Jarrett, but Chris Harris, even though he's handcuffed to the turnbuckle, he trips up Truth. Jarrett hits the stroke for the win onto Truth, and so that's a match that happened. Thoughts?
Best match of the night by far. Match of the year for me. About the matches that I saw this year.
Okay, like compared to 2022.
Yeah, of course. It was
I understand.
It was so ahead of its time that you could not comprehend it.
Ahead of its time while making Brokeback Mountain references. Yeah.
Of course. That's the future, my dear.
I mean, we're about, it's been almost 20 years. We're due for a remake of Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, mix it up with She-Hulk.
Yeah. What do you call it when two shows combine?
She will break everybody's back mountain with her huge clit. So.
If you gave me like 1,000 guesses on what your next sentence was going to be, I would not have gotten it.
Me neither.
Well, speaking of huge clits, we got Jeff Jarrett on the mic.
Yeah.
And he's asking where Sting is because they still haven't found Sting or Steve.
Yeah.
Just like you can't find the clitoris, but they can't find Sting either. So Jarrett leads a 10 count. He's like, hey, Steve, if you don't come out here after I count to 10, that means you're a quitter. So Jarrett counts to 10, really draws it out. He gets to 9, and it's like a minute later until he says 10.
Yes.
And nothing happens. No Steve, no Sting, no... what were those other gimmicks? Does Sting have any other gimmicks?
So anticlimactic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, nothing happens. It could have counted faster, like if maybe that was the outcome. But let me ask a quick question.
Go for it.
Since you're an American, I see a lot of American people using the word quitter as an insult. It seems like a pretty big deal from the outside looking in. Is it?
Quitter. I think it's kind of phased out. It's kind of like chicken.
Yeah.
Like people don't really call people chickens anymore. A quitter is kind of like a mid 2000s. You're a quitter.
Yeah.
I guess kind of.
Yeah, but even when CM Punk left WWE, he's a quitter. Why? He was miserable.
He quit because he didn't like the thing.
Yeah, he was miserable. Should have stayed there, in your opinion? What the fuck?
Yes.
And what I get here from the outside is that it seems like a really big deal if you call someone a quitter. Oh, well.
Steve Borden is he didn't take too kindly to that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just still in the stall taking a shit. I mean, who knows? Maybe he was in another stall. Maybe AJ and Sting were next to each other, just dropping the Cosby kids to the pool, and they didn't check the other stall. So that's the story that I gathered from this. That's probably why he didn't come out. He's probably very
And that's why AJ did the homophobic joke, because he was like nervous to admit the reality of his homosexuality. So he wanted to play it cool, but he couldn't.
I like the premise that whenever AJ Styles gets nervous, he just turns to homophobic.
Yeah, probably. Given what we know about him and Sting as well, they're both like super into Jesus or something like that. That's probably their wettest dream, their wettest transgression, to be caught in a bathroom together from Eric Young and Alex Shelley.
Specifically, it has to be those two guys catching them too.
Yeah, of course.
I get it. But speaking of wet dreams, we got...
And we cover blasphemy tonight as well. Okay. Of course. I have so many things to check in my list.
Yeah, you better keep track of that. You better be writing it down.
Yeah.
So we got Ultimate X match up next. Triple threat. We got Samoa Joe defending the X Division title against Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles.
And
so naturally...
never lost.
Right, so they made it very clear with like the X factors at the beginning that Samoa Joe, his title's at stake, but not his unbeaten streak. They made it very clear in the beginning, in the middle, and the end that even if he loses, he's still undefeated. Which, I guess
a little bit of mental gymnastic. No, don't worry if he loses. We can still treat him as our Goldberg, but better.
Yeah. Then they explicitly mentioned Goldberg with when JB is interviewing Samoa Joe.
Yes, they do.
Jeremy Borash is like, "Whoa, when people are comparing you to Goldberg with your undefeated streak," and Joe's like, "It's never about who's next. It's about who's left."
That was a great sentence.
It was one of the best sentences of the night, I think.
I loved it.
But the story here, so Joe, as we mentioned, is undefeated. For 9 months, he's been undefeated. And the X Division, or the Ultimate X element, is kind of the what do you call it? The makes it even. It makes it even. And because Daniels and AJ Styles they've had several Ultimate X matches. They're also considerably smaller and more limber and agile than Samoa Joe. So the story of the match is, can Samoa Joe get his big fat ass up on those cables and grab the belts? Spoiler alert, he can't.
Yeah.
I thought he would, man. I thought he was going to get up there and just grab it, but that's not what happened.
Me too, actually. But I'm actually, for once, I'm surprised that they didn't make more fat jokes. Like it was... so, yeah. Kudos
they get those
TNA.
all out of the way with Scott D'Amore calling him a big load, and it's always Don West too. It's like, Don, you're kind of the same size, but it is what it is.
Not nearly as athletic.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen Don West wrestle, so who are we say? Have you?
It takes some good conditioning to call a match like he does. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, with how his cardio must be insane with how fired up he gets. But AJ, so the match starts. AJ and Daniels both immediately start climbing up to climb the cables, but Joe keeps stopping them. That's kind of the story of the match. Joe is more focused on just beating the shit out of these guys rather than climbing the cables because he knows he needs a lot of time, so he needs to eliminate them, basically. Daniels and AJ kind of team up kind of off and on in this match. They had a total elimination on Joe, which looks sick. Better than the Perry Saturn team ever did. Joe is one spot where Joe backdrops AJ to the outside onto Daniels, and then Joe with a huge barrel roll tope to the outside. I would hate to have Samoa Joe in the air about to land on me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but that looks so freaking cool. To me, that was the coolest move of the evening.
Possibly. It's up there.
Every time you see Samojo fly is something.
Oh, it never gets old.
It's a spectacle. Yeah,
he's an Airbus. But Joe, so he's eliminated these two guys for a little bit. So he tries to climb, but he gets on the cables and it just falls because he's a big boy, I guess. Slippery. It's slippery up there.
Yeah.
But then, so he's down. AJ and Daniels get back in there. They take out Joe. AJ climbs up to the top rope. Daniels follows him. And then AJ like climbs up on the truss because it's like on the four corners of the ring. There's like these big metal trusses with the cables all around are attached to them. AJ kind of climbs up a little bit. So he's higher than the top rope. And he jumps off it and hits a sunset flip power bomb onto Daniels off the top rope, which looked sick. So beautiful. And this allows AJ to get up there and start climbing towards the belt. But Joe's back up and he rips him off into an atomic drop. Once again, that looked horrific to take. That poor AJ is
high risk atomic drop for the night.
High risk atomic drop. That is that should have been the pay-per-view name, I think.
It sounds like a cocktail, actually.
I bet it is. If it's not, it's about to be.
Hey, I want a Manhattan, Long Island B-52, and a high risk atomic drop.
It's probably a thing. They probably whip something up for you.
Should be.
It's probably like a fireball drink. Wasn't that a thing like the atomic? Isn't that like a candy, like a cinnamon candy? Atomic balls or something? Maybe they're not over. You guys just have pizza. I forgot.
Yeah,
and Stromboli's.
I'm into cocktails, but I am old fashioned. So, as you can tell from my shirt. So
right.
So yeah, I know the classic ones.
Of course. But yes, the high risk atomic drop.
Yes.
Joe just starts going ballistic. He hits a huge boot onto AJ, a senton, gives Daniels a brutal looking face wash in the corner. But then AJ and Daniels team up on Joe again, and they hit a double team muscle buster onto Samoa Joe, which is pretty nice. And so they've taken out Joe for the time being. AJ and Daniels start going at it. AJ hits a beautiful looking Pele. AJ starts climbing again, gets close to the belt, but Joe throws a chair at him, knocks AJ off. Daniels drop kicks the chair after Joe picks it back up into Joe's face. Daniels gets up there, climbs the ropes, but this time wraps his legs around the cables so nobody can stop him, and is able to get the belt. And Christopher Daniels wins the match and is the new X Division champion.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either at all.
Yeah, I thought Joe could retain. Like, I don't know, maybe because the other two, which on and off on their TNA careers, they've always been like the bestest of friends and the worstest of enemies. Like, so that in this case, it could have been like a moment of breaking like a friendship or something like that. But no. At least not for now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the whole story was that like AJ and Christopher Daniels, they both support like the code, shake hands before and after and all that stuff. So they shake hands after the match, and meanwhile Joe's outside of the ring like throwing stairs around and just being a madman. So that really was a good kind of cap on that story. And I'm a bit fuzzy on where we go from here. Like for these three guys, like I know Joe eventually faces Kurt Angle. I know AJ and Daniels eventually are like facing LAX for the tag titles. But in between now and then, which is like Bound for Glory time, I'm kind of fuzzy on where these guys go from here.
Yeah, I don't recall it as well.
Daniels is X Division champion, which is always good. I know it's only a matter of time before like Low Key gets there and Sabin and the other guys from the X Division match earlier become bigger deals. So, because like these three guys have kind of monopolized the X Division championship for a few months at this point. So, be fun to get some new guys in there.
I think Abyss as well will become champion. Like I think it was X Division champion like for a very little bit.
I think I could be wrong. I think that's a few years after this, but I could be wrong.
I don't know because I recall he had that belt, that version of the X Division title. I'm sure about this. So, and I think they changed it later, like around 2008, 2009. They changed the design of the belt a little bit, but well, whatever. Let's wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Yes, we will. But that brings us to the main event, the NWA World Championships on the line. We got the champion Christian Cage defending against the alpha male Monty Brown
from the Serengeti.
Wait, is it the Serengeti or the Peep Zone?
Yeah, nice question. Yeah, it says that it wants to bring the title back to the Serengeti. Like, I think the title has never been to the Serengeti before, so I don't know why I said that.
You sure? There's never been an NWA title match in the Serengeti?
Not just that, but he never possessed the belt before that or after. Fuck it.
That's a good point.
So, well, anyway.
You sure not one of the Tiger Mask number 12 wasn't from the Serengeti and wasn't NWA champion?
Yeah. You have to know that in the Serengeti they had a strict no cameras policy, so there is no recorded proof that the title changed hands in the Serengeti.
Right. Yeah, that's an aspect I didn't take into account. Yeah, that's why you're here, to give me all the facts. Of course.
As you can tell from my African heritage, because of this shirt.
I mean, you're wearing an African shirt, so you're obviously African.
Of course. Can't you tell?
So, yeah, just like Lindsay Lohan and Mean Girls.
By the way, as a good friend of mine, Omar from Playyard Wrestling, probably Playyard Wrestling. He always says that Italians are people of color, and I agree. I agree with that.
What color are you, Frank?
I am we call it olive, which is like a bit of a darker shade of what you see now at the moment on my skin, because usually we change a lot. That's why he says that we are people of color, because during the winter we are like very pale, but during the summer we get like bronzed and stuff like that. So I kind of agree with him about it.
So you're a POC half the year, is what you're telling me.
Yes, half of the year. But I am an OG Latin 100% the whole year.
Okay. That's pretty convenient that you can kind of pick and choose when you're
of course.
Person of color. Yeah, look, I can't hate it. I'm a Filipino, so I'm kind of the same. Like in the winter, I look pale right now because I'm in the light, but it's I get a little orange. I'm in the sun a little bit, so I sympathize, or empathize. But speaking of which, we got Monty Brown here, and so the story here. So Christian just recently won the title from Jeff Jarrett at the previous pay-per-view, and Jarrett had promised Monty Brown a title shot before he lost the title, but then Jarrett loses the title, but I guess that promise is still a binding agreement, I guess. Yeah. So Christian has to defend it against Monty Brown here. And Christian got pounced off the stage on Impact and went ribs first into the barricade, which looked pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was a pretty nasty landing. Yeah.
His ribs are broken, Christian's, and that's pretty much the story of the match. Monty spends a lot of this match attacking the ribs, whether it's, suplexes or throwing them into barricades, suplexing him onto the ropes. There's one point where Christian's on the apron and Monty's in the ring. Monty whips Christian into the ring post on the apron, which it just looked brutal. But the match, I mean, it was a fine match with Monty Brown. Look, you're not going to find two bigger Monty Brown fans are right here. No. I feel like possible. Do you think his charisma translates to his in-ring stuff?
Yes, usually it does. Not in this match.
Yeah.
In this match there was something missing, in my opinion. It wasn't a bad match by any means. But from Monty there was something missing. I mean, Christian was fantastic. We are seeing it now, nearly 20 years later, that his heel work is superb, and at the time he was really untouchable as the heel champion. But Monty Brown probably is one of those cases that he is better at chasing the belt than actually being champion. And of course, he did not win, unfortunately. But even in this match, probably felt the pressure of it. I don't know. It was like it wasn't unleashed as he usually is. So probably that's the problem.
I kind of had a similar feel it. It's almost like he was nervous a little bit. Maybe he just, like you said, he felt it's a pay-per-view main event for the title. Like he hasn't really been, it hasn't been had a spotlight like this on him in TNA at this point, or anywhere, I guess, in wrestling. So
yeah,
it's a big moment for him facing Christian.
I think he will never get this as close to his title, if I'm correct.
I don't think so. No, I think this is pretty much his peak as far as his position on the card, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because like not so many months removed from that, Kurt Angle will debut in TNA, and that changes everything about the hierarchy. So yeah.
I don't even know if Monty is he even. I think he might leave before Kurt Angle gets there. Maybe I'm off a year or so, but
he was in ECW for sure in 2007 because he was at WrestleMania that year.
Right.
So yeah,
2007.
Probably he might leave like before Kurt Angle arrives in TNA.
Mm-hmm. It's probably around that time somewhere for sure. But good little showing from Monty. He hits an F5 at some point in this match, which is surprising to see. Pretty good looking one too.
Yes.
But an alpha bomb from Monty Brown, which is like a fall away slam position, throws him up into a power bomb. Only gets a 2 count though. There was one aspect of this. There's like a little thing Christian did. So at one point he goes for a frog splash but misses, which is very stupid. Even commentary is like, that was kind of a dumb move on his part because he has injured ribs. But then later in the match, he like knocks Monty down off the top rope, and Christian goes to the top rope, or he's already on the top rope. And instead of going for a frog splash, he hits a back senton, which I feel like that would still hurt your ribs, but maybe it's like a little less impactful on the ribs. But I feel like that's kind of like what he was trying to do there, and like little things like that. That's why Christian's so good, in my opinion. But towards the end, Monty goes for the pounce. Christian blocks it with a boot. And then Monty then tries to do an alpha bomb again. But Christian fights out, hits the unprettier, gets the 1-2-3. So Christian beats Monty Brown, retains the title. And so that's the match here. But I feel like the real story is what happened after. Jarrett comes out.
Which was a pretty long after, actually.
Yeah, damn near as long as the
we're talking about 10, 12 minutes.
A lot happened. So Jeff Jarrett comes out. Jarrett wants his rematch for the title, and he wants it right now. Christian's like, look, man, I can't. My hands are tied. I would, but I can't. You know, it's kind of. I feel like you could, Christian, if you really wanted to. But he's like, oh no, I wish I could, but I don't want to.
I mean, there's a degree of bureaucracy. You have to go through different offices,
a lot of red tape,
and send letters, like physical letters, not emails, to ask permission.
Maybe a fax or two.
Maybe a fax. It takes time.
It does. Come on, Jeff. You know this. But Christian and Jarrett, they brawl in the middle of the ring. Monty Brown comes back in, beats up on Christian. Jarrett and Monty Brown are both double teaming him. And then afterwards, you have Abyss comes out to join in on beating up Christian. But then Rhino comes out to try to even the odds. But then out comes Team Canada, AMW, Alex Shelley. So it's just a bukkake of men in there just beating down on Christian. Abyss hits the shock treatment on Christian. Chris Harris handcuffs him to the ropes. Now I'm reading all this. This is probably why I was on that porn site. A lot of BDSM happening right here. So Christian's handcuffed to the ropes.
As you know, the important thing is how you categorize your videos to be found. So yeah, BDSM, man on man,
right?
1201 and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's probably in the tags of the the video. Was belt whipping also in the title, maybe, because that happened. A lot of that happened. Somebody takes their belt off. I don't know who it was, but everyone just passes this belt around and just spanking Christian with it.
Yes, that looks painful.
Oh, a belt? Yeah, I mean everybody with Abyss, Scott D'Amore, Gail Kim, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't want to take that. Those lashes. But then so you got like, I don't know how many guys in there. 15 guys beating up on Christian. Well, you better send in a 50-year-old man in there to stop this. Steve Borden gets in the ring, not Sting. Doesn't even have a bat. It's just regular ass Nike t-shirt. Steve Borden gets in there.
Which leaves the question, whose jacket was in the bathroom? because he didn't have a bat, he didn't have the jacket. So
yeah, maybe he just forgot it. He had one of those life-altering dumps, and he just couldn't. He didn't even wash his hands. And he had, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no bat. It's just Sting with his stupid back fist forearms or whatever you call that. Literally, I mean, there's 15 people in there. Steve just takes out everybody, one after the other. Scorpion Deathlock on Jeff Jarrett. Nobody's helping him. They're all kind of just watching from the outside. Bobby Roode's like, oh, God. But he's like, let's get in there, Bobby. But maybe they're just waiting for their hero to make the save, to save their buddy Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
Holla if you hear me. Whoo. Scott Steiner debuts in TNA. Big Papa Pump gets in there, takes out Sting, Steve. Belly to belly on Steve. It's a Goldberg chant, which was that like a rumor that Goldberg was going to debut too?
Probably.
At this point, fuck it. Everybody from WCW.
I mean, they had Macho Man Randy Savage like a couple of years before, so yeah, nothing is off the table.
That's very true. Scott puts the Steiner recliner onto Steve. Jarrett still like sitting down, has a guitar in his hand, crawls over in front of Steve. Guitar to the head of Steve as he's in the Steiner recliner.
Yeah.
These TNA guitars, they are so aesthetically pleasing. Like they explode so dramatically. I love it.
Yeah. And they must put like a lot of baby powder in there because every time there's this puff.
Right. I was about to say maybe it was Sting's face paint, but he wasn't wearing any. So yeah, it must be.
But I don't know if you notice, like somebody, I think Scott Steiner had like some paint on his face. I was like, what? No, not Scott Steiner. Steve Borden. He had like a few white stripe here of paint. I was like, what the fuck? Like this, like when he looks human, he is painted. Like his normal form is like black and white. That must be the only, because it was like the human makeup was coming off.
Right. So he just wakes up like that, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
It's not face paint at all. It's just his skin.
I mean, we've been lied to for all these years.
I feel appalled, to be honest. Yeah. I feel deceived.
Maybe it's like from the same species of Danhausen.
Or maybe transitioning from Steve Borden to Sting is a gradual process. So like every day it's a little more white, then a month later it's full white face.
Yeah. So many questions.
And
so little time to ask them.
So why was the bat? Whose bat was in the bathroom? Somebody get somebody on the horn. We gotta know whose jacket and bat were on this Orlando bathroom floor as AJ Styles was taking a dump. We gotta know.
Yeah,
we gotta know.
As you can say, like spotless writing from the TNA crew.
Yep, as it always was.
As they always have been.
Well, that's what we said in the beginning. There's a lot of good. You know, you have the Ultimate X, you have the X Division stuff. Monty Brown's great, but then you have, some of the writing, and then Maverick Matt. So you kind of get it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that brings Destination X 2006 to a close. Do you have any other thoughts? Anything we missed?
I think there was after the first or second match, there was like a backstage interview with Monty Brown, and it was really, really hyped up, like it always is, on the mic. And when he was about to say pounds, someone interrupted him. I don't remember.
Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko. Fuck him. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He really is.
That's why Monty Brown lost, is because he just blue balled him at the beginning.
Yeah. Fuck.
This Larry Zeb. Living legend, my ass.
Good old Uncle Larry. He will never change.
His stupid Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
Well.
Nothing to do with my African shirt.
I was about to say, there's nothing stupid about your shirt or anything you do. Frank, man, once again, man, thank you for taking the time to watch the show. Come on, talk some tits and ass. Where can everybody find you, listen to you, watch you, tickle you, all that stuff?
They say you can find me by typing LMW Podcast, like on every social media, which stands for Last Minute Wrestling Podcasts. Which you can find on, well, wherever you get your podcast from, probably on YouTube as well, when I remember to upload the videos of the interviews. I interview wrestlers and mostly people working within the business. So a lot of crazy shit, a lot of crazy stories, hopefully. And it's been a pleasure to be here. This is the third time that I come here on the show. And I'm such an asshole that I never invited you back. So we should really, really, really make up for that. Because,
hey, man.
Because as I always say, I think that your format of this show, of the Apron Bump, is like one of the most smart, ironic, and interesting to listen to. Because let's face it, a lot of the wrestling podcasts are god awful shit. And this one isn't. So, congrats.
That's the nicest thing everybody's ever said to me. That I'm not shit. No, I appreciate that. I really do. And yeah, I'll come on your show once. I'll make sure I have my dashiki ready for when I come on the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast.
Perfect. We should do something crapping all over the wrestling podcasting scene. That would be fantastic. That would be hilarious. We're going to be canceled together. Are you happy about it?
You can't cancel both of us. No, yeah, we'll shit on some people. Yeah, especially, let me tell you about this guy. So once again, thank you to Francisco from the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast for joining me on this lovely, lovely journey through the history of TNA. Go follow Frank. Go follow the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube, all that stuff. LMWpodcast.com. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram, Chatterbait, all that stuff. Always a good time with Frank. And go to apronbump.com for all my full episodes as well. Of course, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also on YouTube as well. Maybe some people might not be aware, I also do video versions of this podcast, so go check it out. Even if you're listening to this on audio, maybe go up there, give it a like, give it a comment. Tell me what your favorite scene from Brokeback Mountain was. Give me your thoughts on the She-Hulk knocking out Jeff Jarrett with her big old clit. Or whatever, do that or don't. Give the podcast a rating, a 5-star rating. If you don't think it's 5 stars, you can go shove it up your urethra. Give it a review, buy a shirt, squirt whipped cream on my belly button and tell me to suck it out. Everything that you do to support your podcasters, do that. And that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Love you all. Big smooches all around.
Yeah.
I'm hard.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing I guess. Let's get it started.